So one of the challenges was to select a tool, and we look at the market, obviously. We saw about 30 different products, 40 different products. We select 4 of them in the shortlist, and finally we select Orchestra Network for various reasons, but the main one was that it's a generic tool, and I'm sorry to say that here because Christophe is there, but it was quite easy to implement, and we were very happy of this choice because it's very generic. We managed to do exactly what we want very quickly. And it's very business-oriented, very user-friendly. And one of the rationale when we select the tool was to say the key thing is to define the data model, to define the governance, and after all, even if we do a bad choice on the tool, it's not a big deal as far as it works for us for few years. And if in 10 years or I don't know when we discover that we'll reach the limit of the product, we will look at something else. But really, we are far away from reaching this limit today. So also, as I told you, we did not want to focus on one specific area of the business because we didn't know how successful we will be. So we want a product where we can easily progress on one side, progress on the other side, and so on. So that was the real benefit of this tool. Not obliged to have a separate license for each kind of master data, and we don't have a big volumes of data. We have a lot of variety of data, complex data, because not very well aligned, but we don't have huge volume of data, and therefore we were looking for this kind of tool. So one of the key things also at the beginning was to define the strategy. So we had about 20 workshops with the business, and we defined 16 objects. Most of them will be working and defined in a centralized hub, meaning that the place where you will create the data is the MDM itself, which is embedding a validation tool, a validation workflow. And now in the group, when we want to create a project, a new project, or a new CBS code, a cost breakdown structure code, or a supplier, or a customer, we create it at first into the MDM. As I heard this morning in other meetings, we have also adapted our strategy based on the data, and we tried also to minimize the impact on the business, try to make sure that we go step by step in terms of change management, and we want to make sure that it works well with the legacy tools, but also with the new ERPs. And therefore, we select for some data, for instance, another mode, the registry mode, to make sure that we do not change too many things at the same time. So, for instance, for HR, we kept the HR local admin system as the main database to feed the MDM, and we clean the data when it comes to the MDM. If there is any issue, we ask at the source to change the data to clean it. And we have coexistence style for some other data. After that, it's good to have the data in the MDM to make sure that it's validated by the business, but after we need to make sure that people can use it and make it available to the business. And that, at that stage, it's really the application owner who are choosing how they want to use the data. That's clearly their responsibility, so that could be web services, that could be file exchange, that could be also just looking at the data in the MDM itself, as it is user-friendly. And now, step by step, we are implementing that with the various tools. And we had quite a challenge with the ERP, which are being implemented as well. They were looking at us as competitors at the time, but now they just discover that they can save a lot of time, and now we work very well together. As I told you, we implement the governance as well. So we define with the business data owners for each data family, data administrator, data managers who are validating the data. On the IT side, we are mainly coordinating between the various domains, between the various data owners. We are there as advisors to make sure that they understand the impact of the change that they can ask when they want to modify a hierarchy, for instance, or things like that, and the impact on the interfaces. And we have regular coordination committee with the top exec of the company. So for this exercise, and I believe it's instrumental, we have the full support of the CFO, but also all the exec level in each area. So with the HR group manager, for instance, with the head of operation for the group, and so on. Obviously, we had to set up an organization for that, to support this initiative. And now we have an information management team looking at the integration, which is very important, and looking also at the architecture of the enterprise. And this team is really providing services to the projects and to the people who are asking to connect to the MDM. One key thing was to educate everybody in the company, to socialize a lot with the business, obviously, with the subsidiaries, but also with the IT guys and the development team to make sure that when they develop a new application that they use the MDM for their referential. Okay. So the benefits, in fact, we saw that there are plenty of benefits, and the benefits are going beyond what we were expecting, in fact, and we discovered that in plenty areas we have cross-domain benefits that which were not anticipated. But you see on this slide a few examples. I don't want to read everything because we are a bit short of time, but you see here that a lot of domains, a lot of business domains are taking the benefit of these initiatives. Okay, and some are very important for us, like the time we spend to consolidate data for what we call the spend map, where we can track everything that we spend in the company, and what we spend in the company is about $5 billion per year. So it's very important for us to have a very good reporting and aligned reporting to determine with which suppliers we are doing business, which volume we are doing with them, and so on. So that's very important for us. So we have a lot of enthusiast customers. That was a big surprise for us also. At the beginning, we were thinking that MDM is not so fancy. But after a while, people understand the value of it and come to see us and say, oh, by the way, can we do that with the MDM? Can you add this attribute to the data model? Because I would be able to use it later. So as you see here, we have plenty of people coming to see us. From projects to finance to QA, HSE, legal. A lot of people are joining us. We have currently about 20 applications to connect to the MDM. And as I told you at the beginning, we want after to better integrate with engineering applications. Okay. So as a conclusion, we have a very good adoption by the business. That was not a given when we start about a year ago when we purchased the tool in, last year in April. We have a lot of people coming to us and asking more services, and obviously we have still a lot longer road ahead of us to connect all the systems, in particular the ERP, make sure that the ERP are using the MDM. But we should go live with a manufacturing ERP in June, and they will use it for all the suppliers, for instance. So they will create the suppliers in the MDM, and it will update the application almost real time to make sure that there is no loss of time, but ensure that we keep consistency in our data and good quality. So that's what I want to tell you this morning, and I want to thank you, obviously. If you have any question, I'm at your disposal. Yep.
You mentioned that the tool was very user-friendly and fairly understandable. Just in terms of achieving your success, internal resource focus? Did you have outside party assist as well?
We have a team who help us. We work with the integrators a bit to help us, but we really want to lead this project ourselves. We had the help of a consulting company as well, Magellan Consulting in France, and they help us mainly to define the governance, to define the project plan and so on. But we didn't want to spend 3 months or 6 months to do specs, just to do an RFQ, select an integrator and so on. We had a few bad examples like that for the ERP in particular, and we said, no, we want to do it ourselves. It's very internal matters. You need really to be close to the business to understand very well, and if you want to put it on a paper, anyhow, the time you write it, it will be obsolete. So we thought that it would be better to do it ourselves and move ahead as much as we can. And that's why we put these 16 objects, because it's like when you put sausages on a barbecue, you know, sometimes you have some burning, some who are not cooking quick enough, so we move them based on what we can do to make sure that we move ahead as fast as we can. You're welcome. Yep. Any other question? Okay, so let's. Thank you.